Welcome to Fantasia, home of the Melodious. My name's Azallea, and today, gonna be bringing you guys my first ever Windwitch Majespecter deck profile. Now, this deck is, of course, updated with the new June 2017 ban list. So without any further ado, let's just jump right into this. So, starting off, we're playing 3 copies of Windwitch Ice Spell. Now, Ice Spell is like a Terra Top, so if you control no monsters, you can special summon her straight from your hand. And then, if you do that, you can special summon a Windwitch monster straight from your deck. She also inflicts 500 burn damage to your opponent, but that's mostly irrelevant. The monster that you're going to be special summoning with your Ice Spell is going to be your Windwitch Glass Spell, which we play 2 copies of. Now, if Glass Spell is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Windwitch monster from your deck to your hand. Now, it's important to keep in mind that Ice Spell and Glass Spell have restrictions tagged onto them. Ice Spell makes it so that you can't special summon monsters from your extra deck unless they're level 5 or higher wind monsters. And then Glass Spell says you can't special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except just plain old wind monsters. But it doesn't really matter because both Wind Witches and Majespecters are all wind archetypes, so it just, yeah. We can ignore those restrictions for the most part. Just keep in mind that Ice Spell allows, actually blocks you from pendulum summoning your Majespecters from your extra deck the turn that you use her, but it doesn't really matter because you're usually summoning her on your first turn, and during your first turn, almost all your Majespecters are going to be in your hand, right? So, yeah, there's no problems there. So, of course, the card that your Glass Spell is going to search out is going to be your Windwitch Snowbell, which is, of course, the card that makes your Crystal Wing invincible to destruction, right? So if you control 2 or more wind monsters and no non-wind monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand, and a wind synchro monster that was summoned using this card as a synchro material cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. So yes, this combo is mostly to get out the Crystal Wing on your first turn, adds an additional layer of negation on top of all your Majespecter negations, which is really nice. And Crystal Wing's a big beat stick, which Majespecters usually have problems with, attacking over larger monsters, so Crystal Wing helps in that department as well. Okay, so next off, going to go into the Majespecters. We're playing 3 copies of Majespecter Raccoon Bumbuku. Now, Majespecter Raccoon, if this card is no more special summoned, you can add 1 Majespecter monster from your deck to your hand, which is really nice. And of course, all Majespecters have the effect that they cannot be targeted or be destroyed by your opponent's card effects, which is actually really, really nice, although I still think it's a little bit unfair, but whatever, right? But yeah, Bumbuku is the searcher for the deck, which is really nice. So the other searcher that we have is actually going to be a Majespecter Cat Nekomata. So the Majespecter Cat, if this card is no more special summoned, you can add 1 Majespecter card from your deck to your hand during the end phase of this turn. So she is a delayed searcher, which is why I'll only run 2. I'm not a huge fan of this card, but she is useful for her scale sometimes as a low scale, a scale 2. Yeah, but normally you don't really want to be summoning her, or you don't want to be drawing into her. You want to be able to summon her from your deck with cards like Ties of the Brethren. Okay, so the next Majespecter card that we play, one of the best ones that we have, is Majespecter Fox QB. Now, Majespecter Fox, if this card is no more special summoned, you can add 1 Majespecter Trap card from your deck to your hand, which is really great because, of course, you know Majespecters are infamous for their Majespecter Tornado and Majespecter Tempest. Okay, and speaking of getting to those cards, we actually play 3 copies of Majespecter Toad Ogama. So, Majespecter Toad, if this card is no more special summoned, you can set 1 Majespecter spell trap directly from your deck, but it cannot be activated this turn. So it's absolutely amazing, and it acts as a second Fox, Majespecter Fox. It just tutors out another trap card. So if you summon both of these, you can search your Tempest and your Tornado, which is absolutely amazing. Or if the situation arises, you can get 2 Tempests, 2 Tornadoes, whatever you really need to. You get the toolbox from your deck from this massive amount of search power this deck has. And of course, to top off the Majespecters, we have to play 2 copies of Majespecter Crow Yada. Now, the Majespecter Crow, if this card is no more special summoned, you can add 1 Majespecter spell card from your deck to your hand. So you can search out like Majespecter Cyclone and things like that, which is really nice. So the important things to note is that the monsters, they're all wind spellcaster type monsters, and some of them are level 3s and some of them are level 4s. That means Ties of the Brethren has actually multiple targets that it can work on. As long as you draw into one of these cards, you're basically going to be fine. Okay, so let's cap off the monsters. Moving on, we have 2 copies of Archfiend Eccentric, which is really nice as a scale 7 and also as spell and trap removal and monster destruction. So if she's on the field, you could tribute this card and target 1 monster on the field and destroy it. Or if she's in the pendulum scale, you can target 1 other spell trap card on the field, destroy both it and this card, and you can, of course, only use those effects once per turn. So she's absolutely amazing and really just great for getting rid of things like Solemn Strikes and stuff before you go for your massive Pendulum summons. Because that's usually the card that Majespecters lose to, is losing their entire field to a Pendulum summon, which really sucks. Okay, so last card in the deck, of course we have to play our lone Max C to get additional draws, which is always nice. So yeah, that does it for the monsters. Next off, we're going to go into the spell cards. So for the spell cards, starting off, we play 3 copies of the card I kept mentioning, Ties of the Brethren. Now, Ties of the Brethren, if you don't know what it does, you pay 2,000 life points, then target 1 level 4 or lower monster that you control. For the rest of the turn after this card resolves, you cannot special summon monsters, and also special summon 2 monsters from your deck with the same type and attribute and level as that monster, but with different names for each other and that monster. And you cannot conduct your battle phase the turn you activate this card, which is fine because you're normally using this on your first turn. Now, Ties of the Brethren, if you use it on a level 4 Majespecter, you get to bring out Fox, you get to bring out your Toad, and you get to bring out your Crow. So you get 3 searches, and you get 3 disruptive back row with 3 monsters on the field. And it only requires 2 cards, so it's like a +4 right there, and it's absolutely insane. If you have additional Windwitch monsters, you can actually just normal summon your Glass Bell, grab a search, and then you can summon 2 more Majespecters from your deck. If you have Bambuku, you can summon out the Majespecter Cat. You can also summon the Windwitch Ice Spell if you really wanted to. So a lot of synergy between these 2 archetypes, and I really do love it. Okay, next off, we're actually playing 2 copies of Majesty's Pegasus, the field spell card for the Majespecter archetype. Now, it gives all Majespecter monsters on the field 300 attack and defense, and you contribute 1 wind spellcaster type monster to special summon 1 level 4 lower Majespecter monster from your deck. So this is actually really important because you can actually tribute your Wind Witches that you have extras of to summon Majespecters from your deck. And it's absolutely amazing because you could tutor out a Bambuku. Bambuku can get you a search, you can complete your scales, go for pendulum summons, a ton of synergy. And of course, because this is all spellcaster archetype, we actually play 1 copy of Secret Village of the Spellcasters. Because imagine this, you have your Majespecters on the field, you have your traps and spells, you have your Crystal Wing, you can negate a bunch of monster effects, but if you have Secret Village on the field as well, now your opponent is locked out of spell cards, so they really can't play, and it's actually pretty funny to watch people struggle against your Majespecter fields like that. Because we're putting more of a focus on these field spells, we actually play 2 copies of Terraforming to search out the Majesty's Pegasus and the Secret Village of the Spellcasters. And it also lets you, if you draw into a Terraforming and a Pegasus or something, you can use Terraforming to search out Secret Village and vice versa. So you always have access to multiple field spells that you can use depending on the situation. Okay, the next card that we're going to go into is the Majespecter Cyclone. This is the main target for your Majespecter Crow that you're going to be searching. We only play 1 Majespecter spell card because you don't really need more than that. And this is, you'll need 1 Cyclone because it's a quick play. And so you contribute 1 wind spellcaster type monster and target a monster that your opponent controls and destroy it. So it's pretty good disruption in terms of just destroying random things on the field. It's great because it's chainable, so there's no activation requirement like Tempest. You have to wait until your opponent activates something before you can negate it and destroy it. You can just flip this and destroy something on the field. Speaking of destroying monsters, for our last spell card, we play 1 copy of Raigeki because Majespecters have trouble getting over some larger monsters, so you just want to wipe the field clean before poking your opponent directly for some damage. And yeah, that does it for the spell cards. Next off, we're going to go into the trap cards. So for the trap cards, starting off, we're playing 2 copies of Majespecter Tornado. Now, if you don't know what this does, you contribute 1 wind spellcaster type monster, then target 1 monster your opponent controls and banish it. So really good field control with this card. And speaking of more field control that's searchable, we actually play 2 copies of Majespecter Tempest. Now, of course, both of these trap cards you can search out with Fox. You can also set it directly with your Toad. Majespecter Tempest says when a monsters will be special summoned or a monster effect is activated, tribute 1 wind spellcaster type monster to negate the summon or activation if you do destroy that card. So basically a Solemn Strike, but you just have to tribute a Majespecter monster, which is completely fine. Now, instead of playing Solemn Strikes like a lot of other people like to do in this deck, I like to play 3 copies of Quaking Mirror Force because your monsters are so small, your opponents are going to be tempted to attack into your monster. So flipping them all face down and just baiting them is just absolutely amazing. Then you can attack over their monsters because most monsters have low defense stats, and then you can reestablish control of the board. And then last card that we play is going to be a Solemn Warning, of course, to negate additional summons and all that good stuff. So yeah, that does it for the trap cards. Next off, we're going to go into the side deck. Okay, so for the side deck, starting off, we were playing 3 copies of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. Ghost Ogre is really strong in this deck because of the fact that it's a tuner and that we actually play a multitude of synchro monsters. So if worst comes to worst and you have multiple Ghost Ogres in your hand, you can keep one in your hand and you can summon one and you can just go for synchro plays. So that's really nice. Ghost Ogre is also just really versatile as a card against, True King Dinosaurs or Zodiacs and other decks that are really popular right now. We also play 1 copy of Eccentric Archfiend, or Archfiend Eccentric, my bad, in our side deck. Just in case you need that additional spell trap removal, you always have access to this, so it's always nice to have. Also, another high scale is always really good. Last off for the monsters in our side deck, we play 3 copies of Godarla, the Mystery Dust Kaiju. The reason why we play the Wind Kaiju is because your Ice Spell and your Glass Spell actually limit you to summoning wind monsters. So if you summon your Crystal Wing, before you summon your Crystal Wing, you can actually get rid of a threat. And then when your Crystal Wing attacks into this, because it's a high-level monster, your Crystal Wing can actually just gain the attack of this, and you deal basically 3,000 damage to your opponent, which is really nice. So Godarla is always really good to have, just as general removal, and for just smacking into things with Crystal Wing, and yeah, synergy with the deck. Okay, so for these spell cards, we only play 3 in the side deck. We play 3 copies of Mystical Space Typhoon, additional spell and trap removal. A lot of people are playing things like Imperial Order, and they like to play Anti-Spell Fragrance, so definitely side this in if you're expecting that, so that if they flip it, you have an answer in response. Because you can't use Eccentric Archfiend in your scale if they flip things like Anti-Spell, or if they flip something like Imperial Order, so there's that. And then for our trap cards, we side the 3rd copy of Majespecter Tornado, just in case some matchups require you to have more removal. 1 copy of Majespecter Tempest, in case you go against another like Pendulum deck or something like that, where monster effects are very prominent. Definitely side in another Tempest. And then we also play 3 copies of Starlight Road, because I hate having this deck lose to Twin Twisters. When you set your back row and your opponent Twin Twisters you, it's basically over. So Starlight Road is a great way to deter that and to protect your back row, as well as give you another Stardust Dragon onto your field, which is kind of nice as another beat stick and another wave of negation. So yeah, that does it for the side deck. Next off, we're going to jump right into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, starting off, we play 1 copy of Super Quantal Mech Beast Grand Pulse. Now this is just additional spell and trap removal, and with a 2800 defense body. So very good card. Highly suggested, actually. The other rank 3 monster that we play is going to be a Totem Bird. Now, I don't have my copy of Totem Bird with me right now, but so I'm using this proxy. But Totem Bird allows you to detach 2 XYZ materials from it, and you can negate the activation of a spell and trap card and destroy it. So it's always really nice. It requires 2 level 3 wind monsters, so it's pretty easy to make if you have additional Majespecters on the field, or, Ice Spell or something like that. But yeah. Moving on into the rank 4 monsters, we play 1 copy of Abyss Dweller, which allows us to shut down our opponent's graveyards, which is really nice. We play 1 copy of Daigusto Emerald, and Daigusto Emerald allows us to recycle our monsters. If you use a lot of XYZs, you're going to have a lot of your Pendulum monsters in your graveyard. You just recycle those with Daigusto Emerald. You don't really tap to your extra deck too much in this deck, but they're there as toolboxing, basically. The other card that I really love in this deck is going to be your Lightning Chidori. Lightning Chidori requires 2 level 4 wind monsters, and if this card is XYZ summoned, you can target 1 set card your opponent controls, return that target to the bottom of the deck. And then once per turn, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card, then target 1 face-up card your opponent controls, return that target to the top of the deck. So it's really good. It's basically like a 2-for-1, and so that's why I don't play Castel in this deck. I actually just play the Lightning Chidori because it's so much better. And there's a reason why it has the attribute restriction on it. Next off, we actually play 1 copy of Tornado Dragon, because more additional back row removal is always nice, especially if you're going to go for a huge Pendulum summon. It's always safe to clear out your opponent's back row before going and summoning everything out from your extra deck and swarming the field and getting your searches. So Tornado Dragon is just really good overall. Also keep in mind that Daigusto Emerald, Lightning Chidori, and Tornado Dragon are all wind monsters, so they can bypass the Glass Spell restriction. Next off, we play one copy of Perform H Trapeze Magician. Really nice because it requires 2 level 4 spellcaster type monsters, and you can target one other monster that you control or your opponent controls, but usually you're going to target something that you control, so it can attack twice during the battle phase. It gets destroyed during the end of the battle phase, but it is really good in conjunction with things like Utopia, because if you have Utopia and you make Utopia the lightning, basically your Utopia lightning can attack twice, and you can just smack things for a lot of damage and your opponent cannot respond. So really good card. I really do love Trapeze Magician in that regard. But yeah, that does it for the XYZs. Next off, we're going to go into the Synchros. So with the Synchros, starting off, we play one copy of Windwitch Winterbell. This is the card that you usually just climb into your Crystal Wing with. You can also target a Windwitch monster in your graveyard, and then burn your opponent for its level times 200. So normally you target your Glass Spell in your graveyard and you burn your opponent for additional 800 damage on top of the 500 from Ice Spell. So 1300 damage, starting to look pretty good. Also, she has the effect where during the battle phase you can target a Windwitch monster you control and special summon a monster from your hand with a level lower than that. So you can summon Majespecters from your hand this way, although it really doesn't come up that often. The other level 7 Synchro that we play is Odd Eyes Meteor Burst Dragon, so you can summon out things from your Pendulum Scales if you need to. It's kind of a desperate move, but you know, it doesn't come up too often. The important thing is that your opponent actually cannot activate anything during the battle phase. When you have a Meteor Burst on the field, they can't activate monster effects, so it's really nice for just ensuring that you get your damage in, or ensuring that your opponent cannot stop your attacks with their monster effects. Next off, we play one copy of Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Just another good level 7 Synchro to go into. Remember that Glass Spell is a tuner, so Glass Spell plus a level 3 Majespecter can make your Synchro 7s. And then Glass Spell plus a level 4 monster can actually make your level 8s, which we're going to go into now. We play, of course, one copy of Stardust Dragon for our Starlight Roads that are in our side deck, but you can also summon this with just any level 4 Majespecter and your Glass Spell for the Stardust Dragon. You can also use Glass Spell and whatever Majespecter, because Majespecters are pendulum monsters. You can summon Ignister, Prominence, the Blasting Draco Slayer. And Ignister is amazing because you can just shuffle things back, non-targeting removal. So good. We don't actually play any of the Draco Slayers in this deck, but just the fact that you can just non-targeting removal shuffle things back to your opponent's deck is just too powerful to pass up. And so the last card that we play in our extra deck is going to be a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Of course, I don't have mine on me right now, so I'm using this proxy instead. Crystal Wing, of course, is just what you want to summon onto your field with your Ice Spell, and then you have all your Majespecter monsters backing it up, protecting it, while it protects your Majespecter monsters, so it's a lot of synergy right there, and yeah, definitely recommend playing one of these. That does it for the extra deck, and I guess that does it for the deck profile. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed it or found it helpful, please leave a like, subscribe for more Windwitch Majespecter content, and leave a comment down below letting me know what I can do to improve. And until next time, take care.